Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today I want to talk to you about gossip. I know everyone listening to this podcast has gossiped at some point in their lives. And sometimes we might think it feels good to gossip. Maybe someone hurt our feelings, someone wasn't nice, someone acted in a way that was beyond outrageous. But I know every time I gossip, it makes me feel kind of vulnerable and kind of bad. And I'm not talking about times where you call up a friend and talk about a situation that just happened. Maybe someone hurt your feelings or you had a hard time with someone and you're telling them a story. You're expressing your emotions. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when we just talk about other people because we feel like it. And the first thing, we're not minding our own business. We're in someone else's business. And most likely we're talking about this person because it makes us feel better on some level. And if we look at why it makes us feel better, maybe this person has a success that we don't have and we feel jealous. Maybe this person has hurt us in the past, so we feel like getting them back. So we're acting from our pain. Maybe there's something about this person that brings up fear in us. So when we gossip, we're really just compensating for something that hurts us or bothers us. And we're really not coming from our higher place. And that's why it kind of feels bad. And it also hurts the person you're gossiping about. A few years back, I had a falling out with a friend. And another friend heard about it. And then she told someone else about it. And it got back to me. And what was so hurtful to me is that the friend who found out about what happened, she didn't reach out to me. She didn't call me. And so when she repeated it to someone else, it wasn't from a loving, kind place in my mind. And I found that really hurtful. I found it hurtful that somebody would talk about my life and my pain in a gossipy way. Hey, did you hear that Allison Carmen and so had a falling out? Can you believe that? It didn't feel kind and loving to me. And then I thought about all the people that I've spoken about. And when I really broke it down, there was always a reason behind the gossiping. It was never pure. Either I had an issue with that person, or it brought up a fear in me, or it brought up a jealousy in me. It brought up something in me that I didn't like, or I thought I couldn't have, or I was afraid about. And then I sat around and I talked about it, and it was really just cycling in this really negative place. It wasn't moving me forward, and it was actually feeding the negativity within me and actually hurting the person I was gossiping about. That's what I was putting out there. And I think we've all done this. But it's really a waste of our time. It takes us away from our goals, our dreams, us having a good day, us hanging out in a higher vibration. It's also forming a relationship with someone else, not in a caring, loving way. Instead, it's like commiserating in negativity. So for me now, when I have this feeling I want to gossip, I pause and I ask myself, why? Why do I want to talk about that person? And sometimes it'll be so obvious to me that I was just feeling bad about myself. So it's easy to talk about them than to deal with what's bothering me. Or sometimes it will come up that I have an old hurt with that person and I need to look at that. But it's such an amazing opportunity to pause before you gossip, because there's a gem in there. We get to see something about ourselves that we possibly want to deal with. And in looking at that, we can go back and heal an old hurt. Work on a piece of ourselves we're not loving, a piece of ourselves we're afraid about. Look at something in the world we're afraid about. And really grow as an individual. And also have better relationships with people, because any relationship I've ever had based on gossip has not lasted in my life. It was a negative friendship. It was feeding on the negativity of others. Now, relationships that I have, if I'm upset about something and I tell a story and I share my emotions, that's, again, very different. Those relationships could be very strong. I could share my fears. I could share my worries. We could have a very open-hearted relationship. It could be really profound. And also, after I gossip, I never feel great. It feels like a waste of time. So much more interesting to talk about something that's going on in the world, how you're feeling about something, talk about your goals, talk about your dreams. Sometimes when you're gossiping about somebody, it's because they have something maybe you want. It's so much more productive to look at what they have and say, wow, I like that. That would be meaningful to me. Or ask what would give your life meaning. What would you like to do next? When we examine it, we find out so much about ourselves. So either healing a fear or figuring out what's going to make our life meaningful. And those are exciting things that we could share with other people. And you never know what they would have to say about it. And there's so much more time for laughter, for good laughter. Laughter that doesn't harm anybody. Laughter that's silly, laughter that's funny, that's inventive, that's creative, that's in the moment. And what's so interesting is when we gossip, we're not talking bad about our own lives, but in a way we are. Because that's how we're choosing to spend time in our lives, in this negative place. And so all we're doing is bringing negativity back to ourselves. We haven't processed something, or we're bored, or we want to do something else. So let's go back to ourselves and figure these things out. I know in my life when I could celebrate other people and think the best of people and hope for the best of people, life is just better. My relationships are better when I talk about forward thinking, when I talk about inspired actions and inspired things and beautiful things that have happened and dreams that I might have, and listen to my friend. And even if we share a problem or a problem about someone else, when you share your heart with somebody in such truth and honesty, it feels so beautiful. When we stop the negativity of gossiping, our life becomes so much more sacred because our words are always meaningful. Even if we're in pain, then a really honest way. This way we can open our hearts so much, connect so deeply with people in such a real way, have real impact in relationships and in the things that we do, and spend our time in creating and looking at possibilities and being more accepting of people. Just feels so much better when the spotlight is on the best of everybody and on the best of ourselves. The clients I've had are most successful, they don't really gossip. And these people hold people accountable. They're very honest about problems they have in their lives. But they don't talk bad about people for no reason. They think it's a waste of time, a waste of energy. They use most of their energy to push forward, to create, to be inspiring, to be motivating, and to motivate themselves and inspire themselves. It takes so much energy to push things forward in life. So the less we gossip, the more positive we can be, the more maybe we can be. And the more likely we're going to have enough time in our lives to do the things that we love and to connect more deeply. And also honor the other people in our lives as well. And as we rise up and we talk better about people and we think more of people, maybe that's how the world becomes a better place, and maybe that's how we become the best of who we are. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.